Dear colleagues, shall we? Your Excellency President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency President Bolsonaro, Your Excellency President Putin, Your Excellency Prime Minister Modi. It's a great pleasure to meet you all by virtual format. On behalf of the Chinese government and people, I would like to welcome you most sincerely to the 14th BRICS Summit. In the past year, the COVID pandemic has continued to spread. The global economic recovery remains a tortuous process, while peace and security become more salient problems. BRICS countries have approached the challenging and complex situation in the spirit of openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation. We have enhanced unity and coordination and worked together to tackle the challenges. BRICS has proved to be both resilient and dynamic, and the BRICS cooperation has achieved positive progress and results. Our meeting today comes at a crucial moment of choice for the future of humanity. As key emerging markets and developing countries, BRICS countries must rise to our responsibility and take steps that make a positive, steady, and constructive contribution to the world. First, we must speak out for equity and justice. We must get the international community to practice true multilateralism, uphold the international system with the UN at its core, and the international order underpinned by international law. We must abandon Cold War mentality and block confrontation, and oppose unilateral sanctions and the abuse of sanctions. And it's important for the world to recognize that forging a community with a shared future, like a big family, is so much better than building exclusive circles that practice hegemony. Second, we must be confident that we can defeat the pandemic. We must build strong defenses against the pandemic out of a sense of responsibility for our people and compassion for human lives. And we must step up international cooperation against the pandemic to protect the life and health of all mankind. Third, we must create synergy for economic recovery. We must improve macro policy coordination, keep industrial and supply chains secure and unclogged, build an open world economy, diffuse the major risks and challenges to global development, and strive for more inclusive and resilient economic growth. And fourth, we must promote sustainable development. We must be guided by a people-centered approach and allocate more resources to poverty reduction, food production, education, and health. Accelerate implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and realize stronger, greener, and healthier global development. Dear colleagues, under the theme, Foster High-Quality BRICS Partnership, ushering a new era for global development, I look forward to a lively discussion and your insights and contributions to high-quality BRICS cooperation. According to the agreed agenda, I will now call on President Ramaphosa, President Bolsonaro, President Putin, and Prime Minister Modi to deliver opening remarks in turn. After that, we will hear presentations about the meeting of high security representatives and other cooperation mechanisms, and then we will exchange views on major international and regional issues and areas of BRICS cooperation. I will close by a brief statement. Now I give the floor to President Ramaphosa for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency President Xi, Your Excellency President Bolsonaro, Your Excellency President Putin, and Your Excellency Prime Minister Modi, and ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank China, and especially President Xi, for convening this vital 14th BRICS Summit. We meet at a time of great uncertainty. COVID-19 pandemic continues to have a devastating impact on human life, livelihoods, economies, and communities around the world. We are here as the members of BRICS to affirm our shared desire for a world in which all people have a meaningful stake, in which all have equal opportunity, and from which all can benefit. The BRICS response to COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated that we can achieve a great deal when we work together in the spirit of friendship, solidarity, and responsibility. The launch of the BRICS Vaccine Research and Development Center in March of this year will strengthen international health and science cooperation to prepare for future pandemics. It is a cause for great concern that the rest of the global community has not sustained the principles of solidarity and cooperation when it comes to equitable access to vaccines. We call on developed economies, international agencies, and philanthropists that procure vaccines to purchase from manufacturers in developing economies, including Africa. We need to realize the great potential of our economic partnership to strengthen intra-BRICS trade, investment, and tourism. Our combined economic strength should be a catalyst for sustainable global economic recovery. In line with our foreign policy principles, South Africa continues to call for dialogue and negotiations towards peaceful resolutions of conflicts around the world. We are concerned that the focus and resources of the international community have been diverted from other concerning conflicts and humanitarian crises. Urgent global issues like climate change and sustainable development are not being effectively attended to. Decision-making across the entire United Nations system needs to be democratized so that the multilateral institutions can effectively address global challenges and crises. We look forward to the high-level dialogue on global development tomorrow. BRICS provides a valuable platform to address the key challenges of the global South in partnership with like-minded emerging markets. This high-level dialogue is an opportunity to form a common vision of a more inclusive, just, and stable international order. And BRICS must play its important role of giving leadership to the world as well. I thank you.
Thank you, President Ramaphosa. South Africa has made important contributions to BRICS cooperation. With your efforts, we have established the Business Council, the Think Tanks Council, and the Vaccine R&D Center and so on. I still remember when we had the first BRICS outreach dialogue in Durban, when we met with our African brothers and composed a new chapter of South-South cooperation in the new era. Now I give the floor to President Bolsonaro.
Dear colleagues, President and Prime Minister, President Xi Jinping of China, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President Vladimir Putin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to take part for the fourth time in this BRICS Summit. I wish to thank the Chinese presidency for organizing this meeting and also greet the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the Chinese people who have extended such a warm welcome to me during my visit to China in 2019. On that occasion, we were able to make progress in the strategic partnership between China and Brazil with concrete benefits for our peoples, as shown in our cooperation during COVID-19. Greetings likewise to my other colleagues, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, Vladimir Putin of Russia, who extended to me a very warm welcome during my visit to Russia in February, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, all of which are countries with which Brazil has maintained strategic relations in several different areas, ranging from politics to trade, from technology and innovation to public health care. Our relations have helped improve the prosperity of our economies and foster the overall well-being of our peoples. We must join efforts towards a reform of the international organizations such as the World Bank, the IMF, and the United Nations system, especially its Security Council. The increasing weight and relevance of emerging and developing economies should have its due and deserved representation in those forums. For Brazil, BRICS is a cooperation model that is based on a win-win formula for all stakeholders and for the international community as a whole. For this reason, we must choose priorities with a sense of responsibility and transparency. Brazil, rather BRICS, is not only a factor for stability and prosperity in the international scene, but it is also in a position to contribute to job creation and income generation, as well as to the overall well-being of our populations. Presidents, Mr. Prime Minister, BRICS came into being amidst one of the most serious financial crises in history. In that context, the strength of emerging economies proved key for the recovery of the international economy at the time. Under my administration, I have been directing the Brazilian foreign policy towards the social and economic development of Brazil and of our partners. We must keep on paying attention to ensure that diplomatic efforts will always remain focused on the broader objective of fostering prosperity and peace. I do hope that we will soon be able to meet again in person to address these and so many other topics of relevance for our bilateral and multilateral agendas. In the meantime, I further reiterate Brazil's willingness to ensure that even in a virtual format, we be able to engage in a productive, fruitful dialogue and ensure that the 14th summit of BRICS be fully successful. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, President Bolsonaro. Brazil has been actively committed to promoting BRICS practical cooperation if BRICS is like a tree, and if it is to prosper, it must strike deep roots. And that's why throughout this year and our chairship, we have focused on making solid progress. We're prepared to work with our partners to achieve new results in BRICS cooperation. Now, I give the floor to President Putin for your opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency President Bolsonaro, and Your Excellency Prime Minister Modi. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to join the colleagues that have already intervened and thank President Xi Jinping and and all the Chinese friends for their active efforts this year to promote the strategic partnership within BRICS. The countries of our alliance keep deepening their interaction across all the range of global and regional issues. And year by year, the profile and the clout of BRICS on the world arena increase progressively. This is only natural because the BRICS 5 nations have huge, truly immense political, economic, science, and technological and human capability. And indeed, we truly have all the opportunities at hand to pursue effective interaction and work to ensure international stability and security, sustainable growth and well-being, and improving our people's living standards. I believe that the theme of today's summit is highly relevant: foster high-quality BRICS partnership, ushering a new era of global development. The complexity and transnational nature of challenges and threats that the international community has been faced with oblige us to seek joint answers with an active participation of our alliance. We reiterate that only in concert such goals should be resolved and tackled as the conflict resolution, fighting terrorism and organized crime, including the criminal use of new technology, countering climate change and the spread of dangerous infections. Definitely only on the basis of frank and win-win cooperation we can find solutions to the crisis situation that is observed now in the global economy because of the ill-conceived and self-interested action by some separate states that have been using the financial mechanisms, shirking of their own mistakes and putting their own mistakes on other states. I'm convinced that now as never before, BRICS leadership is relevant in order to design a truly positive, unifying force to form a multipolar system of intergovernmental relations based on the universal rules of international law and the key principles of the UN Charter. With this, we can count on the support of many states of Asia, Africa, and Latin America that strive to pursue an independent policy. I'm sure that, as a custom, this summit will be meaningful and fruitful, and we will be able to have a frank and substantive exchange on the most relevant and pressing regional and global problems and the aspects of strategic partnership, including in the extended BRICS Plus format. I underline and emphasize that Russia is ready to keep pursuing a closest possible versatile interaction with all the BRICS partners and enhance its role in the international affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, President Putin. Russia has played a key role in the BRICS cooperation process. As long as we think and act in the same direction, then we'll be better positioned to deal with all kinds of risks and challenges and to make the world a more stable place. Next, I give the floor to Prime Minister Modi. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm afraid we're not able to hear you. Mr. Prime Minister, I think there is some problem with the connection. We cannot hear your voice. Mr. Prime Minister, I'm afraid we can't hear you. Can you make sure that there is no problem with your microphone? This Mr. Prime Minister, I'm afraid the other leaders are not able to hear you. Would you check if there is any problem with your connection? Mr. Prime Minister, can you hear me? I think we had some transmission problem just now. I hope the line is now okay, that you can all hear me. And now that the line is good, Mr. Prime Minister, would you like to repeat your opening remarks so that all the other leaders could hear you? Mr. Prime Minister, I'm afraid we still can't hear you. There seems to be a persistent problem with your end. We didn't hear you, Mr. Prime Minister. We can't hear you. Mr. Prime Minister, we were not able to hear you. So would you check to see if your microphone is open, is turned on? So when you were speaking a moment ago, none of the leaders could hear you. Could you check to see if there is any problem from your side? And make sure that the microphone is turned on. Well, as we try to resolve the technical problem, shall we continue and let our staff try to work out the problem? So, Mr. Prime Minister, you can first deliver your opening remarks and then continue with your main remarks when it's your turn to speak again, if that is agreeable to you. Now I'm afraid we have to move on for now. And we will hear presentations from the meeting of the high security representatives, the Business Council, the Women's Business Alliance, and the New Development Bank Now I'd like to first ask Mr. Ma Zhaoxu, the Chinese Shepherd, to speak.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, Your Excellency Jair Bolsonaro, Your Excellency Vladimir Putin, Your Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it's my honor to report to you the work of the 12th meeting of BRICS National Security Advisors and High Representatives on National Security. This year's meeting was held on the 15th of June via video link. The meeting was attended by Mr. Yang Jiechi, Director of the Office of the Central Commission for Foreign Affairs of China, Mr. Mondli Gongobele, Minister in the Presidency of South Africa, Mr. Augusto Heleno, Minister of the Institutional Security Office of Brazil, Mr. Nikolai Patrushev, Secretary of the Security Council of Russia, and Mr. Ajit Doval, National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India. During the meeting, the high representatives had an in-depth exchange of views and reached much consensus on strengthening multilateralism and global governance, addressing new threats and new challenges to national security, and strengthening governance in new frontiers. The high representatives all noted the complex and challenging international situation, constantly emerging global challenges, and intertwined traditional and non-traditional security threats, and in that context, recognized that deeper political security cooperation is of great significance for BRICS countries to safeguard common interests and build a world that enjoys lasting peace and common security. The high representatives highlighted the importance of upholding multilateralism, abiding by the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, safeguarding the sovereignty, independence, and equality of all countries, and supporting the UN and other multilateral institutions. It's important to improve the multilateral system, increase the representation and voice of emerging markets and developing countries, and make the multilateral system better reflect the reality of international relations and the global governance needs, address the COVID-19 pandemic and other global challenges, and more effectively meet the expectation of the international community. The high representatives reiterated the need to combat all forms of terrorism and extremism and not associate terrorism with any religion, ethnicity, civilization, or race. We need to support the UN in continuing to play a central coordinating role in international counter-terrorism cooperation, implement relevant UNGA and Security Council resolutions, and reject double standards in counter-terrorism operations. The high representatives share the view that new frontiers like cyberspace, outer space, polar areas, the ocean, and artificial intelligence bear on the survival and development of humanity. It is important to further improve the relevant governance frameworks and rules, enhance dialogue and cooperation, and forestall risks to bring greater benefits to humankind. During the meeting, the high reps also reviewed the work progress of the Working Group on Security in the use of ICTs and made positive assessments. They agreed to take the opportunity of implementing the counterterrorism strategy, the action plan, and the roadmap for practical cooperation on cybersecurity, turn consensus into concrete actions, and steadily deepen coordination and cooperation among the 5 countries in relevant views. The high reps will agree to fully implement the outcomes of the 14th BRICS Summit, uphold the BRICS spirit of openness, inclusiveness, and women cooperation, and work for new progress of BRICS cooperation in the political security field. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. The NSA meeting is a main platform for political and security cooperation among BRICS countries, and it has played an important role in enhancing mutual political trust among our countries. We must continue to make good use of this mechanism, improve coordination and communication, address our common threats and challenges, and uphold our common interests. Now we will hear a presentation from Chen Siqing. This is chair of the BRICS Business Council.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency President Putin, Your Excellency Prime Minister Modi, Your Excellency President Bolsonaro. The BRICS Business Council was established under the strategic guidance of President Xi Jinping and other BRICS leaders. This year, as the chair of the BRICS Council, Business Council, China has worked with other members of the Council to gather consensus of the business community around the theme of foster high-quality BRICS partnership and ushering a new era for global development, and also support steady growth of BRICS cooperation. Guided by the development first concept, we have enhanced cooperation in agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and other fields, promoted food and energy security, and strengthened connectivity. We have held the BRICS competition on SDG solutions to share development experience and contribute BRICS wisdom. Following the concept of innovative and green development, we have actively participated in the building of the BRICS partnership on new industrial revolution and explored cooperation in areas such as digital economy, intelligent manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and green finance. We have constructed a project platform to serve high-quality development. Following the people-centered approach, we have fulfilled our social responsibilities and held the BRICS competition on skills development and technological innovation, explored the building of vocational training alliances on cross-border e-commerce to help MSMEs better integrate into the industrial chain and allow more people to share in the fruits of cooperation. These outcomes are a testament to the strong desire and consensus of BRICS community to explore cooperation and seek common development. They have also given us greater confidence. The speeches given by President Xi Jinping and other BRICS leaders at the Business Forum yesterday have pointed the way forward for our cooperation and made us motivated. We will live up to the trust of BRICS leaders, demonstrate the can-do spirit, promote trade and investment cooperation, preserve the stability and smoothness of industrial and supply chains, explore the building cross-border trade digitized platform, BRICS payment system, and alliance of credit rating agencies, explore BRICS plus business cooperation, and take our credit cooperation to a new level. Thank you.
Thank you. Over the years, members of the Business Council have incorporated corporate development into the economic development of their countries, and the Business Council has become an important part of BRICS mechanism. I hope you will continue to give full scope to your entrepreneurship and path-breaking spirit, tap the potential of economic cooperation, offer your views, and to help inject new dynamism into our country's economic development. Now we will hear a presentation from Ms. Zhao Haiying, Chair of this year's BRICS Women's Business Council Alliance.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency President Bolsonaro, Your Excellency President Putin, Your Excellency Prime Minister Modi, it's a great honor for me to report to BRICS leaders. This year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic and other challenges, the BRICS Women Business Alliance has worked actively, explored new ground, and achieved many outcomes, which demonstrates the strong vitality and appeal of the BRICS mechanism. First, we held the BRICS Women Innovation Contest. This is an important initiative proposed by President Xi Jinping. The first edition of the contest was held last year, which added to the luster of BRICS. This year, the number of contestants surged to nearly 450, more than doubling that of last year and making the contest more representative and balanced. We will organize tours to China by the winners at an appropriate time to enhance practical cooperation and contribute to women's development. Second, we held the first BRICS Women's Leadership Forum. We live at a time of enormous challenges, not least in the fields of economic development, climate change, and public health. This is a time that calls upon women to play a bigger role. The forum is themed on inspiring female leadership and has put forth women's proposals for the 5 countries to jointly address common challenges. Third, the first BRICS Women's Development Report was published, which focuses on the state of women of the BRICS countries in health, education, economy, and management, shares useful experience, and puts forth suggestions for development. We plan to update and publish this report every year as a flagship report of the Alliance. Fourth, women-centered cooperation initiatives were proposed. This year's annual report of the Alliance focuses on cooperation in the digital economy, health and cultural exchanges, and advocates the establishment of women's research collaboration platform, with the aim of increasing women's competitiveness and unleashing women's creativity. Your Excellencies, women's development not only bears on women ourselves, but also on the future of a nation. We will continue to follow through on the consensus of the summits, contribute to people and cultural exchanges and practical cooperation, and create a brighter future together. Thank you.
Thank you. The Women's Business Alliance provides a new platform for enhancing exchanges and cooperation between female entrepreneurs of BRICS countries. I hope you will redouble efforts and make new and greater contributions to BRICS cooperation. Next, we will hear a presentation from Mr. Choi Yul, President of the New Development Bank.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, Your Excellency President Jair Bolsonaro, Excellency President Vladimir Putin, Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Honorable leaders, let me start by congratulating the Chinese BRICS presidents and express our gratitude to all BRICS countries. Your guidance and support are at the heart of NDB's continued growth and success. It is my honor to report to you in this very special year of 2022. A decade ago, the BRICS decided to explore the establishment of a new development bank. Back then, putting together a brand new institution focused on emerging economies was nothing but a far-fetched dream. But the BRICS took an important decision. Let us make that dream come true. Over the years, NDB has gained scale and relevance. It has become a symbol of what emerging economies can achieve when they work together. Excellencies, the new development bank has now approved more than $30 billion for infrastructure and sustainable development. We're talking about more than 80 projects across the world. These are projects that make people's lives better in our member countries. Projects that continue to expand transportation networks and hubs, reduce CO2 emissions, provide for more clean energy and water supplies, and so much more. Our approach to development echoes the spirit of the 2030 Agenda and the Paris. Excellencies, last year, we welcomed the admission of new members into the new development bank. Bangladesh, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Uruguay. Our new bank members bring over 280 million people that can benefit from NDB's mission. They strengthen our role as a platform to nurture cooperation in infrastructure and sustainable development. We will go on adding new members to the NDB in a gradual and balanced manner. This will increase our voice and our contribution to global economic governance. Excellencies, we recently moved to our permanent headquarters in Shanghai. And I want to thank the government of China for its strong support. Our new home is much more than just an office building. It is modern, sustainable, vibrant, a powerful representation of what NDB stands for. This year, we're also establishing our India regional office in Gift City. So we now have a presence on the ground in all BRICS countries. Excellencies, 2022 marks the beginning of a new strategic cycle for the NDB. Over the next 5 years, we expect to approve $30 billion in new projects. We will increase our financing in local currencies. We will expand our partnership with the private sector. And 40% of the projects we support will go to climate change mitigation and adaptation. We must help shape the future of multilateral finance. Our new strategy powers the NDB to deal with the new development paradigm. Building the NDB as a premier development bank for emerging economies, that is our goal. And that is what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The NDB is a flagship outcome of BRICS cooperation. I hope the NDB will continue to work hard, steadily advance the membership expansion, and to turn itself into a new type of multilateral development institution for the 21st century and play a bigger role for the sustainable development of our countries. Dear colleagues, now we're still working on transmission with the Indian side. So now we will move into the segment of leaders' statement. And when Prime Minister Modi gets his turn to make a statement, you can repeat your opening remarks together with your official statements. Now, I will first make a statement on behalf of China. Dear colleagues, our world today is living through accelerating changes unseen in a century and continued spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. They confront humanity with unprecedented challenges and ushering a new phase of instability and transformation for global development. The Chinese people often say, true gold can stand the test of fire. Over the past 16 years, the giant ship of BRICS has sailed forward tenaciously against raging torrents and storms, riding the wind and cleaving the caves. It has embarked on the righteous cause of mutual support and win-win cooperation. Standing at the crossroads of history, we should both look back at the journey we have traveled and keep in mind why we established BRICS in the first place, and look forward to